This is Left Coast News, and tonight we're sounding the alarm.
On Monday, the Washington State Legislature is holding hearings on a package of bills that will directly impact public safety, your cost of living, your voting rights, and your energy prices.
These bills include early inmate release expansions, new fuel and tire fees, a tax on affordable energy, government secrecy provisions, and regulations that drive up costs for renters, homeowners, farmers, and working families.
And here's the most important part. This is the moment when public comment actually matters.
Every one of these bills is being heard Monday, and legislators do look at who registers support or opposition. Silence gets counted as consent.
If you oppose higher costs, weaker public safety, and unelected bureaucrats making decisions that affect your community, you need to go on the Washington State Legislature website and register your disapproval.
You don't have to testify, you don't have to write an essay, you can simply sign in "con," and that record becomes part of the legislative history.
These bills move fast. Once they're out of committee, your voice is almost meaningless.
So watch this breakdown, understand what's really in these bills, and then take 5 minutes to push back before Monday.
Because if you don't show up, only one side will.
HB2369, early release, real consequences. We need to talk about HB2369 because this one directly impacts public safety and it was completely glossed over by supporters.
HB2369 massively expands earned early release time. It sets the default earned release rate at 33.33% of a sentence, wiping out previous caps of 10% and 15% for many serious offenses.
That includes firearm enhancements, deadly weapon enhancements, and impaired driving enhancements, all now eligible for early release credits.
Let that sink in. Crimes that specifically involved weapons now get reduced time behind bars.
And this bill doesn't just apply going forward, it requires the Department of Corrections to recalculate earned release dates for people already incarcerated.
Meaning offenders sentenced under one set of expectations suddenly get shorter sentences after the fact.
Risk assessments are removed, data collection on recidivism is removed, and safeguards are stripped out.
This is the same legislature that tells you crime is down, while quietly speeding up release timelines for offenders who are supposed to serve more time.
This isn't rehabilitation reform, it's population reduction at the expense of community safety.
Confidential IDs and government doublespeak.
Now let's talk about SB5829 because this one exposes a level of hypocrisy that's impossible to ignore.
SB 5829 authorizes the Washington State Department of Licensing to issue confidential driver's licenses and identification cards to investigators employed by the Attorney General's office.
These are not aliases for foreign intelligence. These are state officials operating under state authority, receiving government-issued identification that conceals their real identity.
And according to the bill, this is allowed for undercover or covert civil or criminal law enforcement activities, language so broad it covers almost anything the Attorney General decides it covers.
Now here's the problem.
For years, Washington's political leadership has railed against federal officers, ICE, Border Patrol, federal task forces, for wearing face coverings or protecting their identities from doxing, threats, and harassment.
They've called it authoritarian, they've called it dangerous, they've said it erodes trust.
But suddenly, when it's their investigators, secrecy is fine. False identities are fine. Confidentiality, credentials are fine.
This bill doesn't just allow undercover work that already exists, it creates a separate protected class of government investigators, shielded by state-issued identity documents with rules written by the same Attorney General who benefits from them.
And the oversight? Minimal.
The director may adopt rules, not must, no independent review, no legislative approval, no reporting requirement to the public.
So when citizens ask who these investigators are, what they're doing, or how often this authority is used, the answer, you don't get to know.
That's not transparency. That's consolidation of power.
And conservatives should be alarmed anytime a government expands its ability to hide its own actors while demanding total visibility from the public.
This is the same state that wants license plates tracked, firearm owners registered, financial transactions monitored, but its own agents off limits.
Rules for thee, secrecy for me.
HB 2265, extreme heat, extreme government.
HB 2265 claims to be about protecting tenants from extreme heat. But here's the problem. There is no temperature threshold defined in the bill.
Exactly. Instead of a clear number, it relies on National Weather Service heat-related alerts, which can be issued well below what most people would consider dangerous heat.
And here's the kicker. Washington's own Department of Labor and Industries says worker heat protection begins at 80 degrees. 80 degrees.
So now landlords can be compelled to provide cooling, sheriffs are barred from executing lawful evictions, and tenants gain new enforcement leverage, all triggered by alerts that may not even involve dangerous conditions.
This isn't about safety. It's about expanding tenant leverage and shrinking property rights, while giving the state vague enforcement power with zero statutory quadrilles.
SB6101, removing the vote from local government. SB6101 eliminates elected coroners and replaces them with appointed ones.
And let's be clear, every public comment on this bill was opposed. Rural counties, conservatives, local officials, across the board.
This is a direct removal of the public's right to vote for a key public safety position.
Coroners investigate deaths, officer-involved shootings, jail fatalities, and now they answer to politicians instead of voters.
This isn't about saving money. This is about controlling outcomes and removing inconvenient elected officials from the process. HB 2251, Climate Policy on the Backs of Farmers.
HB 2251 restructures Climate Commitment Act accounts and quietly removes payments to agricultural fuel purchasers as an allowable use.
That's not speculation. It's right there in the bill language.
Which means higher fuel costs for farmers, fewer offsets, and increased pressure on food prices.
So while Olympia talks about equity, they're actively pulling support from the people who grow our food.
Higher production costs always land on consumers. Always.
HB 2421, the tire fee nobody asked for.
HB 2421 imposes a new 6 ppd medication fee on tires, $3 to $6 per tire, increasing 10% annually.
That's on top of the existing $5 tire fee.
And here's the scam. The fee cannot be listed on receipts. Consumers won't even see it.
That's not transparency, that's nickel and diming by design. HB 1652, boats, fuel, and unnecessary costs. HB 1652 mandates new low-sulfur fuel standards for vessels operating within 3 nautical miles of shore.
Commercial operators, ferries, small shipping outfits. This means fuel switching, retrofits, compliance fees, and penalties.
Washington already falls under federal maritime emission controls. This piles state costs on top of international rules.
And every cost gets passed on to consumers, ports, and local economies.
HB 2367, killing baseload energy with no backup plan.
HB 2367 removes preferential treatment and tax exemptions from coal-fired generation.
This pushes Washington further away from fossil fuels without a reliable, scalable replacement.
Wind and solar cannot replace baseload power, period.
This guarantees higher electricity prices, grid instability, and reliance on imported power. HB 2284, bag fees don't stop litter. HB 2284 makes the plastic bag penalty permanent and adds another state task force.
And yet, anyone who drives Washington roads can see more litter than 5 years ago.
Fees don't change behavior, enforcement does.
This is performative policy that punishes shoppers while ignoring real causes.
Individually, each of these bills we've talked tonight about is bad.
Together, they're devastating. Death by 1,000 cuts.
Higher food prices, higher energy costs, less voting power, less accountability, less public safety.
And all of it justified under buzzwords instead of results.
What happens next depends on whether people show up or stay silent.
These bills don't stop in committee because they're bad ideas. They stop when enough people go on to the record and say no.
The hearings are Monday. After that, the window closes fast.
Take a few minutes tonight. Go to the Legislature website. Register CON. Make them see the opposition in black and white.
If these policies move forward, the costs won't land on Olympia. They'll land on you.
Don't let them say nobody objected.
This is Left Coast News.
Stay engaged, stay loud, and make it official. Thank you.